Posted a video explaining why 50% of the internet went down on November 18, and it went viral. It makes me so heartened as a techie that so many of you want to understand what happened, so I want to answer some of your most asked questions in that video. So to recap, when you would access a website on November 18, many of these websites use a service called Cloudflare Bot Management Service, which filters out good bots and bad bots that would access the website. To know what's a good bot and a bad bot, it uses a machine learning model which is fed with characteristics of what a bad bot does. This feature file is auto-refreshed and generated through a consolidation of a bunch of different databases on the bad bot's characteristics. Then on November 18, I mentioned that a change in access rights to these databases caused the Cloudflare bot management service to go down, which caused a lot of websites to go down. Now to help clarify some things for you, I want to go into deeper technical detail of what I meant by change in access rights. First, we have to understand this concept called database sharding. This is often used when the data is too large for a single server to process. For example, in this case where this table's data is way larger than the server can hold. Database sharding is a principle that takes this bulk of data and splits it up. And now the split data can live in shards in separate servers. Cloudflare uses a service called ClickHouse to manage data across these separate servers. There's two ways that ClickHouse users can access the data. One, each shard can be queried independently. So say if this shard contains rows 1 to 30 of the bad bot data, when you use ClickHouse to query this table independently and ask it, what are all the bad bot data, it'll give you all 30 rows of data. Now the second way of querying through ClickHouse is through a distributed table. What a distributed table does in ClickHouse is if you ask ClickHouse, hey, give me all the rows on bad bot data, instead of giving you the rows 1 to 30 that lives in the shard, the distributed table will forward the query to the first shard and then to the second shard. So in this case, if the second shard contains rows 31 to 60, the distributed table will combine rows 1 to 30 and rows 31 to 60. So you, the user, end up with 60 rows of data. Initially, Cloudflare only allowed its employees to use a shared account on ClickHouse, which could only access the distributed table. So basically, a single query here would go to the distributed table, which would forward the request and give back rows 1 to 30 and then rows 31 to 60. What Cloudflare changed was, instead of using a shared account, it allowed queries to run from the initial single user account, which had access to the independent shards of data, as well as to the distributed table here. So now a query would return rows 1 to 30 here, as well as the query to the distributed table, which would return 1 to 30 plus 31 to 60. So now the user will now get duplicates of rows 1 to 30, together with rows 31 to 60. That's what caused the feature file to double in size and then crash this bot management service. The gradual rollout plan meant some sites would be up and some sites would be down, making it very difficult to see what was the issue. Next, I'll explain the one line of code that caused this.